Take you through the processes of making chocolate from the cocoa beans and what are the active ingredients in the chocolate and the cocoa beans. It makes it healthy, having a healthy benefit for human beings. There is a common question people usually ask or claiming that dark chocolate is more beneficial or have health benefits than the milk chocolate. Is this true? What about the cocoa beans itself? It's more healthy. What about the milk chocolate? Is it healthy? To answer this question properly, we have to go through two major areas. The first one, how we process the cocoa bean itself to convert it to a chocolate. Let me just tell you that the cocoa bean by itself, it's completely irrelevant to the chocolate, neither flavor or aroma. In contrary, it's very bitter and astringent. So to develop the flavor and the aroma of chocolate, you have to take the beans through three major stages. The first one is fermentation, the second is drying, the third is roasting. So to develop the processes, this is the three processes here. Second section, we will talk about the active ingredient, the nature of active ingredients. Is it sensitive? Is it fragile? What it will do? What is the health benefit out of this? So in the beginning, I will take you through a small video in our jungle in Peru to show you the harvesting and the fermentation of the cocoa beans. This is the jungle of the cocoa trees, and this is the cocoa buds. In the same tree, you could find series of color of the cocoa buds. This is an organic farm. This is a beautiful cocoa flower. They're collecting the cocoa buds and then they cut it. They take the cocoa beans out of it. This is the cocoa beans, as you see, covered with what we call it polysaccharide mucilage. And this one, during the fermentation, the polysaccharide converted to alcohol. Here the fermentation process took place. The cocoa beans. Once they collect it, they take it immediately while it's still wet to go to the fermentory place. The fermentory, it's a part of something like a wooden boxes, queue of 3 wooden boxes. You keep it 2 days almost on each wooden box, and then you make a sort of ventilation to reduce the temperature. This is the fermentory boxes, 1, 2, 3. You keep it 2 days in each box to convert the white mucilage polysaccharide to alcohol. So here there is a very important point. The temperature could reach up to 70 degrees, which there is a question mark here, we'll talk about it. After the fermentation, which usually takes 6 days, we keep it in the air to dry it, and then they make the preliminary sorting to remove the stones and some foreign materials. This is during the jungle. Once it gets dried, we ship it immediately to our factory to start the third stages, which is the roasting profile. Once we receive the cocoa beans from the jungle, Of course, it's coming a bit contaminated. It's coming from an open area, from the street, from the farm. To be sure that we have a clean cocoa beans, we have to keep it in a room -18 for 30 days to kill all the germs, whatever is. So we keep it here storage in the room -18 temperature for 1 month completely. And then we start to defrost it and to go again for a manual sorting process to remove the bad bean, the broken bean, and so on. This is a fermented dried cocoa beans. Making the manual sorting, removing, you can find small pieces of metal, you can find stone, you can find some insects, and so on. So we have to be very careful and make it manually. We have a very specialized team for the sorting. Actually, we use about 20 to 25% of the cocoa bean we receive, we throw it away to guarantee that the remaining 75 is perfect beans. Here we make a transfer section to see if there is any infection, if there is any mold, if there is anything or any diseases, to be sure. And here we have to check the water content, the moisture content of the cocoa bean, because by knowing the moisture content, it gives me an indication for the roasting profile. What kind of roasting profile am I going to use? And this is now the roasting processes. I have, by the way, I have modified the manufacturing of the roaster all over the world because with my pharmaceutical background, usually they used to use the normal roaster with direct flame. So direct flame cannot able to kill all the bacteria because there is some bacteria called multi-resistant bacteria. You cannot kill it even if you reach 150, 160 degrees if it's dry heat. That's why in the clinic we have the autoclave, what we call it the wet heat. So they have invited me to Amsterdam for Shokoa to give a session to tell them about the wet heat, and all the roaster now, the new roaster come with a steamer inside the roaster to be able to kill all the microorganisms, the normal one and the multi-resistant one. Here after the drying, after the roasting the bean having a shell, and the shell is very astringent, has a lot of tannin and bitter principle. So we have to separate it, we have to eliminate it out of the cocoa bean. We put it in a machine called breaker winnover. It breaks down the cocoa bean to small pieces, we call it cocoa nips. And we withdrawing the shell outside. And the shell actually, I'm not throw it away. I use it with the pharmaceutical background again as a facial and body cocoa scrap. Now we put the nips and the malanger, the grinder, because the cacao beans or the cacao nips contain 55% weight per weight cacao butter and 45% cocoa powder. But the cacao butter allocated intracellular. So to release the cacao butter out of it, you have to break down the cell wall. So here there is a load of 2 tons to break down the cell wall and to release the cacao butter, and you mix it with the cacao powder, and it gives you what we call it the cocoa mass or cocoa liquor. As you see here, we are checking the particle size of the chocolate. Why? Because the blood creating us with the tongue buds, realizing the chocolate, if the chocolate below 20 micron as a particle size, the tongue realizes it's a very high quality. If it is above, cannot realize it a good quality. So we keep working to keep our chocolate between 17 and 18 micron as a particle size. And this, it takes us 3 to 4 days continuously in the malanger. Here we are checking the pH because usually the cocoa bean and the chocolate coming with volatile lactic acid, which gives bad smell and it shouldn't be having an acidic pH. So by checking the pH, if it's still acidic, we have to take it to another state called congealing, to heat it up to takes the volatile lactic acid away, but as you see, it's 5.6, which a bit alkaline, which is perfect now. Here we are making something what we call it manual tempering. Tempering, it means exposing the chocolate from high temperature 50 degree all of a sudden to 29 degree. Why? Because the cacao butter and the chocolate, there are three isomers, alpha, beta, gamma. Alpha and gamma, we don't like it as a chocolate here. We need only beta. Why? Beta, it makes the chocolate more shiny. Beta, it makes the chocolate more crackable. Beta, it makes the